Hello everybody, my name is Shankarji. Now we'll be discussing chapter 7, new questions and ideas. Mainly questioned by ancient wise saints. There were not much ancient wise people. There were not much thinkers during the ancient times. But however, there were a few who dared to think different, who dared to think in a much more deeper philosophical way. So first we'll talk about a great thinker, a great preacher. His name was Lord Buddha, or simply known as the Buddha. So we're going to study about the story of the Buddha. Buddha was born as Siddhartha the prince. He later on became Gautam Buddha, and he is known as the founder of Buddhism. He founded Buddhism around 2500 years ago. He belonged to the Sakya Gana, like we studied about Ganas and Sanghas. That's why he is also known as the Sakya Muni. The Buddha means the enlightened one, because he later on achieved enlightenment. He knew the absolute truth of our existence. That's why he is also known as the enlightened one. We're going to study about the 3 incidents which changed Lord Buddha's life. Because Lord Buddha, when he was a prince, when he was Prince Siddhartha, he was fully in the comforts of his life. I mean, his father, King Suddhodana, he didn't want his son to suffer from any aspect in this life. So that's why he was always kept in the comfort zone. He was always in the royal palace. He lived a luxurious life. He was married. He had a wife. He had a son. His son's name was Rahul. But then suddenly, he felt bored. He took his charioteer and he told, okay, just let's go out of the palace. Let's go for a small ride. So he and his charioteer went outside. And after some time, he saw an old man. So Lord Buddha asked him, I never saw an old man before, a person with wrinkles and like damage in the skin. So the charioteer told him, we'll become like this when we grow old, because right now we are young, we are healthy, but as we grow old, we'll also grow pale. Bodies will get weakened, and in our young ages, we are all handsome and beautiful. But so Lord Buddha thought immediately that right now I am healthy, later on will I become like that old man? Wow, that really shocked his belief. Then after some time, he saw a sick man, a man suffering with disease, and he was holding a stick and he was barely able to walk properly. Then the charioteer explained him that this is a sick man. We'll also be like this when we contract diseases. And again, Lord Buddha was shocked. Wow, is this a reality? And then after some time, he saw a dead body. He and his charioteer were going, and the charioteer explained that this is the dead body. When we die, we'll just be a dead body. Like that man, we'll just be a dead body. So he saw the dead man and he thought, wow, this existence, it is leading to that. Is that the end of this life? So Lord Buddha was really shocked by seeing these 3 incidents, and he thought, I don't want this life anymore. I want to know what enlightenment is, what the real truth is, what are we doing in this plane of existence on this planet Earth. This really led Lord Buddha to leave everything. He thought, no, I don't want any of these comforts. I want to know, I want to get enlightened, I want to know the absolute truth of our existence. So he left everything. He left his family, wife, kid, everything. He put some ascetic robe. He left all the comfortable clothing. He just put some saint robe, like the orange color saffron robe, and he went to explore. He said goodbye to all his life, and he went to explore the world, and he met a lot of other sages, and he asked them questions, but none was able to give him satisfying answers. So Lord Buddha told, no, nobody is able to answer my questions. So I have to find the truth for myself. So he started observing the world. He started analyzing each and everything deeply and philosophically. He found out a lot of things. So we'll discuss the main teachings of Buddha, what Lord Buddha taught to the people. So the teachings of Buddha. So first thing Buddha thought was, this world is full of suffering and unhappiness. Why? It's because due to our desires. We want something. If we don't get it, we become unhappy. If we don't get it long enough, we become really sick. And this is the cause of all misery and unhappiness. So Lord Buddha taught happiness can be achieved by eliminating all desires. Don't desire much. What's the point of desiring? Be happy with what you have. And then slowly he thought, by doing this, we can proceed toward the desireless state known as Moksha, also known as Nirvana, the complete blissful state of enlightenment. So that can be achieved by completely eliminating desires. What is the point of unnecessary desires? Even though it's easily said, but it's very hard to follow it. We have the tendency to be greedy. So that's why we are never satisfied. So Lord Buddha gave a term called tanha to this term. So we all have this tanha inside us. Apart from teaching moksha and nirvana, Lord Buddha also taught kindness. Be kind to all your fellow human beings, also to fellow living organisms, living things, plants, animals, everything. And he also taught karma, like the law of actions and returns. Like you get what you act. Like what you do, you get in return. And he also taught the Eightfold Path, that's also known as the Ashtanga marg. In other words, the Eightfold Path is nothing but the middle path. He preached all his followers to avoid extremes. Always follow the middle path. Because if you avoid extremes, you will be on the right track and you will be well on your way towards Nirvana or Moksha or the complete enlightenment. Or even if you don't reach there, your life will be pretty cool. So this was his main teaching. Instead of Sanskrit, he taught in Prakrit language, the local language of the people, and people were able to understand him much better. Unlike the Brahmins and the Rajas who were like the Vedic people, they used to preach in Sanskrit, which was very hard for the people to understand. They were very happy that Lord Buddha, such a learned sage, he explained to the common people in their very own local language, Prakrit. And that's why people accepted Lord Buddha as one of their own. And he was very close with the people. He was very, very much loved by all the people around. He became very famous, and people from faraway places like China, Japan, from the eastern side of the world, they came to meet Lord Buddha and they accepted his principles, and they accepted Buddhism as their way of life. And even now Buddhism is followed in China, Japan and the Orient, like Indonesia, Malaysia. It's very much popular there. It's very much similar to Hinduism. He simplified many of the rituals which were found in Hinduism. And then finally, the ultimate enlightenment when Lord Buddha taught was, he sat under a Bodhi tree for 7 years in Bodh Gaya, which is there in Bihar. He made it in such a strong and hard way that he attained enlightenment. He saw some divine images which nobody knows, only Sakya Muni, the Lord Buddha, knows. And that's why he is known as the Buddha, Gautam Buddha. This was the story of the Buddha. So now we'll take a look at the Upanishads. The word Upanishad means approaching and sitting near. Like you're trying to approach God, or you're trying to sit near God, enlightenment, you want to know the truth. So mainly the Upanishads taught about life, death, afterlife, the soul, also known as the Atma, Brahman, God, the Supreme Almighty. The Supreme God was given the term Brahman, Brahma or Brahman. So most Upanishad thinkers were men, especially Brahmins and Rajas, the higher level. They used to think a lot, they used to manage a lot of things. So they were able to think deeper, they were able to add a lot of philosophical thinkings, and they mentioned in their Upanishads. And later the Upanishads were developed much more in a greater way by the great sage Adi Shankaracharya about 2500 years ago. He really revived Hinduism in the midst of Buddhism and Jainism. This was a great achievement done by the Upanishads. It gave a lot of answers to life, death and afterlife, to the concept of Atma, the soul, and the Brahman, which is the Supreme God Almighty. But these Upanishads were able to contribute a lot along with the Vedas. So now we'll take a look at Jainism. So Jainism was founded by Vardhamana Mahavira, and he founded around 2500 years ago. And he was also a prince. He was also the prince of the Lichavis. He was a Lichavi prince. It was a part of a Vajji Sangha. So he also left all the comfortable life, and he became a sage. He also tried to get answers, and he got enlightenment. He attained enlightenment after 12 years of hard meditation. He thought about non-violence, ahimsa, and which was later on adopted by Mahatma Gandhi, the father of our nation of India. The key aspect of Jainism is non-violence. Like apart from the middle path or the right way of thinking, Lord Mahavira focused on non-violence and living a very strict ascetic life. That's the main reason why Jainism also developed a lot under Lord Mahavira. And he also taught in Prakrit, which the local people understood very easily, and he was also considered as one of their own. Even a lot of people admired Lord Mahavira for teaching them in their local language, Prakrit, instead of Sanskrit. This was a wonderful thing. So these are some of the concepts in Jainism which we discussed. And then now we'll take a look at the sangha. Like we all know what sangha is. When we discussed the kingdoms and the sanghas, we mentioned that both Lord Buddha and Lord Mahavira were part of the sanghas or the janas. So we'll study a little bit more about the sangha. So both Lord Buddha and Lord Mahavira felt that only those who left their homes completely could get true knowledge. In other words, if you are in the comfort zone, how will you be able to attain enlightenment? So you have to leave the comforts of your of your homes to know more about enlightenment, the true knowledge. So he arranged sanghas, like the meeting places, like the places where ascetics can come worldwide and they can stay there, they can do their meditations and they can know more about themselves, they can attain enlightenment. They had a rules book which they had to follow. It was known as the Vinaya Pitaka. So they had to live simple life. So all of the monks had to follow the rules book, the Vinaya Pitaka book, strictly. They were also known as monk. In the local language, they were also known as the male ascetics, they were known as Bhikkhus or Bhikshus, and the female ascetics were known as Bhikshunis or Bhikkhunis. So this was a major contribution given by the two great thinkers of all time, Lord Buddha and Lord Mahavira, to our society, and in this way a lot of new questions and ideas developed. Now we'll discuss about monasteries. Okay, what do you mean by monasteries? Monasteries were either temporary or permanent shelters for the monks, because these people, the monks were traveling mostly except the rainy season. So they had to stay somewhere during the difficult times. So these monasteries, they were either built in gardens, in the middle of some gardens, or they were carved out in the natural caves or hilly areas, etc. In the beginning stages, only temporary monasteries were built, because they thought, okay, what's the need of permanent monasteries? But as the number of monks increased, because as more and more people left their home to live strict, disciplined ascetic lives, so then people also thought we need to build more permanent shelters to accommodate more monks who are on the way to study enlightenment and nirvana and moksha. So then permanent monasteries called viharas were built with wood and bricks. So some were also dug out deep inside the hills, like rock carving, like they carved out the permanent viharas out of the rocks and hills. It was a great rock art. So some were dug out in the hills, especially western India, like parts of Rajasthan, Gujarat. Very often the land for the vihara was donated by a rich person or the king himself, because they were very much interested in the welfare of the monks, also known as the bhikkhus or the bhikshus or the bhikshunis, because they left everything for enlightenment, for nirvana, for moksha. Then the local people came to the monks to get their blessings, because the local people, they came, they met them, they discussed their problems, they used to give proper advice and guidelines, and they used to bless them, and in return the people used to give gifts like food, clothing or medicines for the monks. In one way, monks got a place to stay and to proceed their journey towards enlightenment, and even in the process the local people and even the kings were also benefited with their valuable advices. Now we'll talk about Zoroastrianism. It was a religion which was founded by Zoroaster, also known as Zarathustra. He was there in the meantime while Jainism and Buddhism was developing in India. At the same time, Zoroaster, also known as Zarathustra, he lived in Iran, which is ancient Persia, which even Alexander the Great defeated the ancient Persian Empire. So the main teachings of Zoroaster was good thoughts, good words and good deeds. So they were the ancestors of Parsis. They used to live in Persia, but then when future invaders conquered the Persian Empire, then they had to leave their homeland, Persia or ancient Iran, and they came to India and they settled down in the parts of western India, like maybe a little bit of Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra. These people now are known as Parsis. They worship the fire. That's why they worship in a place called the Fire Temple, and their holy book is known as the Zend-Avesta. Before we wrap up this chapter, some important dates. So the Upanishadic thinkers, the Jaina preacher or the teacher Mahavira and Lord Buddha lived approximately around 2500 years ago, and the writing down of the Jaina text happened around 1500 years ago. So these are some of the important dates. So study well, do some extra research, and you can add more points to the existing knowledge. So we discussed a lot of wonderful concepts in this chapter, new questions and ideas. So if you have any doubts or suggestions, please let us know in the comment section below. Thank you so much. Have a great day.